Yo! What's up mga parekoy? I'm back with a new video. Please subscribe sa ating channel and click the notification bell button para palaging updated sa ating mga videos. Bago ang lahat, shoutout ka po pala kay Chief Tarl and Daryl Hidalgo, mga loyalista ko yan. And so now, we will do a review of complex numbers. We will do practice problems, a total of 15 questions na sasagutin po natin. So bago ang lahat, if you have not yet watched our discussion on complex numbers, we have part 1 and part 2. I will link it down below para mapanood po ninyo. So let's start. First problem is to compute real and imaginary part of z is equals to I minus 4 over 2I minus 3. So first thing to do guys is simplify natin to. Since ito ay division, i-divide po natin to. So how will we do that? We will do that using rationalization. So that's I minus 4 over 2I minus 3. Then i-rationalize natin yan. To rationalize that, we just copy the denominator and change the sign. So that's 2I plus 3. That is 2I plus 3. So let's simplify this. Simplifying that, sa denominator natin, mapapansin natin that it is the concept of difference of two squares. So we will just square the first term and the second term. So 2I times 2I would be equal to 4I squared. 3 times 3 is equals to negative 9. Alright? So next, at taas naman, we will do FOIL method. So that's 2I plus 3 times I minus 4. So foiling that, 2I times I would be equal to 2I squared. I times 3 would be equal to positive 3I. Negative 4 times 2I is negative 8I. Negative 4 plus times 3 is negative 12. So simplifying that, that's 2I squared. 2I squared. Next, 2I squared minus 5I minus 12. Guys, remember, ulitin ko, I squared is equals to negative 1. So let's simplify that. 2 times negative 1 minus 5I minus 12. So that's negative 2 minus 5I minus 12. So negative 2 minus 12 would be equal to negative 2 minus 12 would be equal to negative 14 minus 5I. So let's write that here. Negative 14 minus 5I. Negative 14 minus 5I. So let's simplify this. Negative 14 minus 5I. Guys, dito sa baba, as I said a while ago, I squared is equals to negative 1. So negative 1 times 4 would be equal to negative 4. Negative 4 minus 9 would be equal to negative 13. Negative 13. Yan. So negative 13 yun guys. Now, we write this in rectangular form. This would be equal to negative 14 over negative 13 minus 5 over negative 13i. Simplifying that, since this is negative, lahat yan magiging positive. So 14 over 13 plus 5 over 13i. So the real part is this one. This is the real part. And the imaginary part is 5 over 13. So let's check our answers. 14 over 13 tsaka 5 over 13. And yes, tama. The real part is 14 over 13 and the imaginary part is 5 over 13. It's here, alright? Let's move down. Next problem. Our problem here says that what is the absolute value of 6 plus 8i? Guys, when they are asking us to find for the absolute value, they are actually wanting us to find for the value of the r or the modulus. So to solve for r, our equation for that would be r is equals to the Pythagorean theorem, x squared plus y squared. So to solve for that, this is our x, this is our y. Square root of 6 squared plus 8 squared is equals to, that's 36, that's 64. 36 plus 64 is the square root of 100, and the square root of 100 is 10. So the absolute value of 6 plus 8i is actually 10. Let's check our answers. Tama answer is 10. Alright? Absolute value, again, that's we are finding for r. Alright? Next problem. Simplify the following expression. 5, ito, simplify daw natin to. Okay, so that's 5, 2 minus 3i minus 4, 4 plus 6i. So what we need first to do is to distribute natin yung mga terms na nasa outside ng parenthesis sa loob. So this would go like this. Pack, pack. This would go pack, Okay, distribute natin yan. 5 times 2 is 10. 5 times 3i is negative 15i minus, let's do parenthesis, 4 times 4 is 16. 4 times 6 is positive 24i. Alright? So, i-distribute natin itong negative sign sa equation na to. So, that would be 10 minus 15i minus 16 minus 24i. So, now we can now solve for like terms. So, 10 minus 16 is negative 6. Negative 15 minus 24 is negative 39i. So, this is our final answer. If they are wanting us to show the answer in rectangular form or in polar form, then we just need to convert. But for the rectangular form, ito po yung sagot natin. Z is equals to negative 6 minus 39i. Let's check our answers. Tama. Negative 6 minus 39i. Tama. Okay? Next problem. Problem number 4. Simplify the following expression. Guys, para hindi na tayo mag-FOIL method, kung mapapansin natin, this is a difference of two squares. They have the same first term, second term. Yung nagkaiba lang is yung ating sign, which is plus minus. Ibig sabihin, it's difference of two squares. To do that, we just need to multiply the first terms and the second terms. Okay? So, 5 times 5, that's 5 squared. 5 squared minus 2i squared is equals to 4i squared. So, simplify that. That's 25 minus 4i squared, that's 4. We know that I squared is negative 1. So, 25 minus 4 times negative 1 is negative 4. So, this would be equal to 29. So, our answer here, simplifying this expression, is 29. Yes, tama. And our answer is 29. You got it right. Next problem, problem number 5. So, solving first type of problem, that's I raised to 789. First thing to know first is yung mga values ng exponents natin. So, I raised to 1 is basically equal to I raised to 2 is equal to negative 1. I raised to 3 is equal to negative I. And I raised to 4 is equals to 1. So, to solve for this type of problem, kailangan natin gawin is to divide this by 4 and get the remainder. So, dividing that by 4, 789 divided by 4, getting the remainder, ang remainder niyan is equal to 1. So, since our remainder is equal to 1, saan ba yung naka-raise to 1? That's I raised to 1, that's equal to I. So, yung answer nito is I, right? Because, to prove that, 789, guys, divided by 4 is equals to 197.25, di ba? 197 times 4 is equals to I raised to 788 times I raised to 1. Kapag isi-simplify natin to, this would look like this. 788 times I raised to 1. So now, since I raised to 788 is divisible by 4, this would totally be equal to 1. Right? Ita-times natin yan sa I raised to 1. I raised to 1 is equal to I. So, I times I raised to 1, 1 times I is equal to I. Kaya yun po yung sagot natin. Let's try to solve for this. Okay. What is I equal to 888 equal to? So, as I said a while ago, first thing to do is to divide it by 4 and get the remainder. So 888 divided by 4 is basically 222. So, wala siyang remainder. Kapag wala siyang remainder, then it's equal to 1. Kasi it's divisible by 4 eh. 888 is divisible by 4. Kaya yung sagot natin dyan is 1. So, I raised to 888 is equal to 1. Gets? Okay. Next problem. Problem number 7. We are tasked to simplify the expression below. So, to simplify this expression below, that would be equal to, isi-simplify natin to. Okay? So, that would be negative. Then, i-break down natin yung nasa loob ng 14. Ano ba factors then? Factors of 14 can be 7, 2, and 1. Okay. So, that would be equal to square root of 7 times square root of 2 times square root of negative 1. Because 7 times 2 times negative 1 is equal to square root of negative 14. Tama? And next is square root of, ito naman, we can say that this is 731. Guys, our task here is to find similar factors from this radical in from this radical para makapag-cancel out tayo. So, I choose kasi may 7 tong dalawa. So, that would be square root of 7, square root of 3, and square root of negative 1. Okay, so now we are ready to simplify. Square root of 7 times square root of 7, mawawala yung radical na to. Makakancel yan, makakancel to. So, that would be equal to 7. Okay, tama, may 7 na tayo. Next, square root of 2 is square root of 3. Multiplying that, square root of 2 times square root of 3 is equal to square root of 6. We just need to multiply yung nasa loob ng radical. And next, that's square root of 1. Square root of 1 is I. And that square root of 1 is I. I times I is I squared. Okay? So, let's simplify this further. Square root of 6. We know that I squared is equals to negative 1. So, negative 1. So, ito yung negative, ilagay na natin sa negative 7. So, that's negative 7 square root of 6 times negative 1. Negative 1 times negative 7 is positive 7 over square root of 6. So, this is our final answer, guys. 7 square root of 6. Answer, 7 square root of 6. Tama. We got it right. Right? Next problem. Rationalize the denominator and simplify. Okay, guys. So, solving for this, i-rationalize natin yan. As I said a while ago, rationalizing this. Kopyahin lang po natin tong denominator, pero papalitan lang natin tong middle sign. So, 3 minus 2i. So, this is 3 minus 2i. So, simplifying that, we know that our denominator is a difference of 2 squares where we just need to square the first term and the second term. So, 3 squared is 9. Minus 2i square is 4i square. Sa taas niyan, distribute natin itong 9 sa dalawa. So, 3 times 9 is 27. 9 times negative 2i is negative 18i. So, simplifying that, we know that I squared, guys, is negative 1. So, that's 9 minus negative 4. This is 27 minus 18i. Okay. So, 9 minus negative 4 is 27 minus 18i. Magiging plus yan. So, that's positive 13. So, simplifying that, our final answer would look like this. 27 over 13 minus 18 over 13i. So, this is our final answer in rectangular form. So now guys, we are now tasked to find for the absolute value of this certain number. Pero kung mapapansin nyo, hindi pa siya nasa rectangular form. When we are finding for the absolute value, dapat nasa rectangular form muna siya. So let's try to simplify this certain complex number. So that's 5i raised to 12. Separate muna natin yan. Minus 3i raised to 19. Okay, as I said a while ago, solving for these types of problem, i-divide lang natin 2 by 4 para makita kung ano yung value ng I na to. So that's 5. Since 12 divided by 4 is equal to 3, wala siyang remainder, then I raised to 12 is basically equal to 1. Minus, that's equal to 3. I raised to 19, guys, i-divide muna natin yan sa 4. If we are dividing that by 4, ang answer niyan would be 4 remainder 3. Ang remainder na 3, so, ibig sabihin, ito, that would be I raised to 2. I raised to 3 is equal to I raised to 2 times I. So, we know that I squared is negative 1 and I is simply I. So, negative I times negative 1 is negative I. So, this would be negative I. So, to solve for this, 5 times 1, that's 5 minus 3 times negative I is negative 3I. I-distribute natin yan. That's 5 plus 3i. So, this is the value of our in rectangular form. Hindi pa yun yung final answer natin because yung hinahanap natin is yung absolute value, which is the value of the r. When we are finding for the absolute value, we are actually finding for r. So, to find for r, that would be square root of 5 squared plus 3 squared. 5 squared, guys, is 25. 3 squared is 9. Okay, 5 plus 9 is equals to square root of 34. So, our final answer is square root of 34. Tama, square root of 34. Next, problem number 10. Okay, what is the value of x plus y below? Okay, guys. So, dito naman, ma-apply natin yung concept ng, what do you call that? Ng systems of linear equations. Okay, so to solve for these types of problem, kailangan nating gumawa ng equation kung saan andun lang yung mga real numbers. Real numbers, I am saying na wala silang I. And another equation na may imaginary na lahat sila doon ay imaginary numbers na meron silang letter I. So, to solve for this, yung mga real numbers natin dito, guys, let's highlight it. That's 7, 3x. Yung 3 ay imaginary yan. Ito, real number din to. Ito, real number din to. Itong negative 3i, 6i, tsaka 9i, those are imaginary numbers since they contain the letter I. Alright? So, let's rewrite that. That would be 7 plus 3x is equals to, ano yung mga green? 8x minus 8. So, we can now solve for the value of x since since isa lang yung variable dito. So, transpose 3x on the other side. 8x, that would be 8. That would be equal to 8x minus 3x. That would be 7. That would be plus 8. So, 8x minus 3x is 5x. This would be equal to 15. 15 divided by 5 since now x is equals to 3. Now, let's solve for the other equation around. That's negative 3i, yung mga imaginary numbers, is equals to 6yi plus 9i. Now, we can now solve for the value of y, kasi y lang naman yung variable natin dito. Transpose natin yung 9i sa kabila, negative 3i minus 9i. So, that's 6yi. Negative 3, that would be negative 12i, 6yi. So, i-divide lang natin yung 6i para makuha natin yung value ng y. So, to find for the value of y, 6i, that's negative 12i over 6i, magka-cancel. That would be negative 2. Alright? So, since x and y is 6, x is 3 and y is negative 2, ang sabi dito, what is the value of x plus y? So, i-add lang natin to. 3 plus negative 2 is equal to positive 1. So, our answer is 1. Tama. Answer is 1. Alright? Next problem. Next problem here is square root of 216. Now, we will be using the de Moivre's formula. Yung, hindi ko ma-pronounce the formula. De Moivre's formula. Okay. So, this value 216, according to my teacher, sabi po niya, kapag wala siyang imaginary number, this number 216, we can say that that's the value of the R. Remember guys, sa aking previous video, I told you there na when solving for the roots, kasi ito cube root, when solving for the roots, kailangan natin na mahanap yung R tsaka yung theta, di ba? So these are the two that we need to solve for the roots. Now, dito sa given, wala siyang binigay na theta or either R. Pero kapag ganito na wala siyang theta, this number would constantly serve as the R. Alright? So, since the R is like that, now we need to solve for the theta. Sa ganitong problems daw guys, as I quote my teacher, sabi daw po niya, ang theta natin would be always equal to 0 degrees. Okay? So, since we have the R and the theta, now we can now therefore solve for the value of the roots. So, since cube root siya, tatlong roots yan. Yung hinahanap natin is Z1, Z2, and Z3. This is for the k value of 0. This is for the k value of 1. This is for the k value of 2. If you have not yet get the concept of the Moivre's formula, you can check back on my previous video and doon po yung mas detailed explanation. So, we will try to solve it right now. Okay. So, the formula for that would be equal to the square root of our R ay cube root of our R, CIS, theta plus 2k pi over n. N po is kung nasan siya na raise, which is, let's put that as 3. Okay? So, let's now solve for that. Z1 muna tayo. Z1. So, R natin is 216. So, that would be cube root of 216. CIS stands for cos, I, sin. And theta natin is 0, so that huwag na natin isulat, plus 2k pi. Ang k natin for this is 0. So that's 2 times 0 is equal to 0. So that's 0 times pi is 0. So 0 divided by 3 is 0. So that's 0 degrees. Okay? So, for solving in our calculator, cube root of 216, cube root of 216 is equals to 6. 6 pala. Okay, 6 daw. So, that would be 6 CIS 0 degrees. And cosine 0 is equals to Yan, yan. So, to write that, our final answer, Z1 would be equal to 6 angle 0. I prefer to write it in polar form para mas madali. Okay. Now, let's now solve for Z sub 2. So, solve for Z sub 2, that would be equal to, where's our Z sub 2? Z sub 2. Okay, Z sub 2, that would be equal to square root of 216 again, cube root of 216, CIS. Yung magpapalit lang dito, yung K natin magiging 1. So, that's 2 times 1 is 2 times pi. So, that's 2 pi over 3. Okay? So, solving for that, that's Z squared is equals to cube root of 216, CIS. I want to convert this into degrees kasi gusto ko polar form yung sagot niya. So, that would be 180 divided over pi. So, let's cancel. So, 180 times divided by 3 is 60. 60 times 2 is 120 degrees. Alright? So, our final answer would be Z sub 2 is equals to 6 angle 120 degrees. Next, let's now solve for Z sub 3. So, Z sub 3, same lang yan. That would be 6 CIS. Ito lang yung papalit. So, since our K, my K value now here is equal to 2, since Z sub 3 is 2, 2 times 2 is 4, 4 pi. So, 4 pi divided by 3. 4 pi divided by 3, convert ko yan sa degrees, that 180 over pi, cancel pi. 180 divided by 3 is 60. 60 times 4 is equals to 240. So, my final answer would be 6 angle 240 degrees. 180 times 4 is divided by 3. Yeah, tama, 240. So, the values of my Z sub 1 is our final answers. The roots are this, and this in polar form. Alright? Next problem. Next problem natin is to compute for the square roots of Z. Compute for the square roots of Z is equals to negative 1 minus I. So, basically, that's again using the Moivre's formula. That's negative 1 minus I. This would be square root. So, solving for that, again, sabi ko, we need to solve for the R value and the theta. So, since naka-rectangular form siya, let's solve first for those values. So, solving for those values, guys, solving for R is, it would be square root of negative 1 squared by plus negative 1 squared. So, that's negative 1 plus 1 is square root of 2. So, we have the value square root of 2. Now, to solve for the theta, that would be arctan of y over x. Ang y natin is negative 1 over negative 1. So, that would be equal to positive 1. So, the answer for that, shift tan of 1 is 45 degrees. 45 degrees. But we want to make sure kung saan siya sa argand plane. Okay? So, to plot for that, since our x is negative 1, is going to the left. Yan, negative 1. And negative 1 po natin is the y value is going down. So, dito siya. So, the R is here. So, ibig sabihin, this 45 degrees that it is pertaining is actually this value. So, ang totoong value ng angle natin is from this 0 hanggang sa ating R. So, this is 45 plus 180. 45 plus 180, guys, is equal to 45 plus 180 is equal to 225. So, the value of our theta is actually equal to 225 degrees. Alright? So, now, we can now solve. Or we can now solve? Hindi pa, guys. We cannot yet solve for the roots kasi ang angle natin is nasa degrees. Always remember that when we are using the Moivre's formula, kailangan nasa radians po yung measurement ng angle natin. So, let's convert that into radians. Converting that, 225. We will just need to multiply 100 pi over 180. So, 225 divided by 180 would be equal to 5 pi over 4. So, that's the value of our theta. So, let's rewrite that in para mas maayos and we can have more problems. So, the value of our R again is square root of 2. The value of our theta is equals to 5 pi over 4. So let me just erase this para may space tayo mag-solve. Alright? So now we can now solve for the square roots. So ibig sabihin, pag square roots yan guys, dalawa yung hinahanap natin. The roots, z1 and z2. This is, when k is equals to 0, this is k is equals to 1. So let's solve for the first root. Solving for the first root, that would be equal to, again, yung formula natin, r, this is equal to n, cis theta plus 2k pi over n. Okay, so first, z sub 1, since square root siya, raised to 2, yung n natin is equals to 2. So that would be square root of, ano yung r natin? R natin is 2, alright? Ay, square root of 2 pala. Sorry guys, square root of 2. We can simplify this further. Simplify further muna natin yan. Since square root of 2 is 2 raised to 1 half, tapos in-square root pa natin yan, so that's 2 raised to 1 half raised to 1 half. Multiplying that, 1 half times 1 half is 2 raised to 1 fourth or equal to 2 raised over 4. Ganon. Okay, so I think that's much better, para mas simpler. 2 tapos 4. Alright, CIS. The value of our theta is 200, ano ulit yan? No, sorry, that's 5 pi over 4. 5 pi over 4 plus 2, ano yung k natin? That's 0. 0 times pi over n. So, since this is 0, we just need to cancel that. 0 naman yan. And, simplifying that, let's put this into decimal para sa maganda. 4 square root, fourth root of 2 is equal to 1.19, approximately 1.19. 1.19 CIS, 5 pi over 4. Ang n natin is equals to 2 kasi square root siya. So, 5 pi over 4, 5 pi guys, 5 pi, sorry guys, okay. 5 pi over 4 over 2 is equals to 5 over 8 pi. So, that's equals to 5 over 8 pi. So, since gusto ko nasa polar siya, ewan ko, basta gusto ko nasa polar kasi mas simpler kasi sa tignan, mas madaling express. I-multiply ko lang yan sa 180 over pi, cancel pi, cancel pi. 180 divided by 8, 180 divided by 8 is equals to 4 times 5. Ang answer po dyan is 112.5 degrees. So, for the value of our z sub 1 natin is equals to 100, is equals to 1.19 angle 112.5 degrees. So, let's check our answer first kung tama yan. Tantananan, z sub 1, tama. This is the fourth root of 2 which is equals to 1.19, tama. Cosine 5 pi over 8, tama. So, we are with the same answer. Sa akin lang nakapolar, sa kanya, this is using the Euler's formula. Okay, next. Now, let's now solve for the value of z sub 2. Same lang siya dito guys, yung mapapalitan yung k natin would be equal to 1. So, I would just copy that, diba? Para mas madali. So, this is z sub 2. This is equals to 4 pala and 4. Tapos, CIS. Theta natin guys is 5 pi over 4. 5 pi over 4. Joke lang. Okay. So, that's 2. This is solving for this guys. 2 times 2. Theta natin, our theta is equals to 5 pi. Tama? 5 pi over 4 plus 2k. 2 times k. 2 times 1 is 2. So, that plus 2 pi over of 2 pi over 2. So, to solve for that, that's 1.19 CIS. I-add natin yan. 5 pi, 5. So, this would be equal to 13 over 8 pi. So, since gusto ko nasa polar form ulit siya, convert ko lang yan sa degrees. So, that would be 180 times pi. Cancel pi, cancel pi. 180 divided by 8 is equals to times 13. So, ang answer dyan is 292.5. Okay. So, in polar form, ang answer niyan is 1.19 angle 292.5 degrees. Alright? So, let's check our answers ulit. Ang R niya, tama. Fourth root of 2 and tama, 13/8 pi. Yung answer niya nasa Euler's formula rin. And sa akin, gusto ko nasa polar form and it's actually the same, 13/8. And that's fourth root of 2. Okay? So, let's move now to the next problem. Next is to solve for x. So, solving for x, kailangan mo nating ma-identify kung wala siya real roots. Okay? So, to solve for that, we can use the discriminant value that's 4b minus 4b squared minus 4ac. So, kapag yung value dito is greater than 0, may real roots siya. Pero kapag lesser than 0, complex number siya. Complex number. Alright? So, solving for this are b squared. Negative 10 squared is 100. Minus 4. Ang a natin is 1. Ang c natin is 29. So, solving for that, 29 times 4, guys. 29 times 4 is equals to 116. So, 100 minus 116 is equals to negative 16. Since lesser than 0 siya, ibig sabihin wala siya real roots. Wala siya real roots. Ibig sabihin, complex number siya. Alright? So, let's solve this. To solve for this, the best possible way to solve this is using the quadratic formula. So, using the quadratic formula. Quadratic formula natin, x would be equal to negative b plus minus square root of ng ating discriminant, that's b squared minus 4ac over 2a. So, for that, negative b, that's negative 10 times b. So, that's negative times negative 10, that would be positive 10 plus minus. Solve na natin to, which is negative 16. And the value of our 2a is equal to 2 times 1 is 2. So, that's equal to 10 plus minus square root of negative 16 over 2. So, this will prove na complex number siya kasi meron siyang square root of a negative number. So, let's bring out, ilabas natin itong negative number. So, that's 10. Square root of 16, guys, square root of negative 16 is the same as square root of 4, joke lang. That is the same as 4 times square root of negative 1 or 4i, right? So, that would be 10 plus minus 4i over 2. So, simplifying this would be equal to 10 over 2 plus minus 4 over 2i. So, we can have the two values of the x. So, the first value of our x would be using the positive sign. 10 divided by 2, guys, is 5 plus 4 divided by 2 is 2i. Okay, next, this is x sub 1. X sub 2 naman, 10 divided by 2 again is 5. Using the negative sign naman, minus 2i. So, this is the value of the 2x. So, to solve for, when we are tasked, solve for x, ito po yung x1 tsaka x sub 2, which are complex numbers. Tama. Here are answers. Alright? Next problem. We solve for j sub 1 first for the value of r and for the value of theta. Bakit? Kasi nagre-raise tayo in that, Okay, so for the value of r, that would be square root of negative 2 square plus 1 square. So, that would be equal to square root of 5. Theta naman dyan is tan of y, 1 over 2. Pero that's negative. So, solving for that, tan of negative 1 over 2 is equals to negative 26.57. 26.57. So, saan ba yan sa argand plane? Let's make sure kung nasa dyan sa argand plane. Since our x value is negative 2, we move to the left. And the value of ry is sa taas. So, ito yan. So, this 26.57 is actually this angle. 26.57. Ang true angle natin is from this 0, papunta siya dito. So, to solve for that, that's 180 minus 26.57. 180 minus 26.57 is equals to 153.43. So, I'll write here, Z sub 1, yung R diyan is equal to square root of 5. Yung theta diyan is 153.43. Okay. I-erase lang natin dito para hindi magulo. Shoot. Delete. Alright. Next here is to solve for the Z sub 2. Ang Z sub 2 kasi ay nasa rectangular form red, 4 minus 2i. So again, let's solve for the value of our r. The value of our r here would be equal to the square root of 4 square plus 2 square. That's equal to 16 plus 4 is square root of 20 or square root of 2, guys. That would be equal to 2 square root of 5. Tama. That would be equal to 2 square root of 5. Next is to solve for the theta. That would be arctan. Y natin is negative 2 over x, which is 4. That's y over x. That would be equal to, same here, that would be equal to 26, negative 26.57. Diba? Shift tan negative 2 over 4. That is shift tan negative 2 over 4. Tama? And let's make sure kung nasaan siya sa argand plane. Argand plane natin, since our x is going to the right, since that's positive, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4, dito siya. And our y is going down, that's negative 2, 1, 2, dito siya. Since our r is going to that angle. So itong 26.57 is this 26.57. Tama lang na negative siya kasi it's going into clockwise rotation. So, dito sa ating Z sub 2, ang R diyan is equals to 2 square root of 5. Ang theta naman natin diyan is equals to negative 26.57. So, let's erase this. Erase lang natin yan para meron tayong magandang space. We actually need space, guys. Okay, ayaw niya ma-erase. So, erase natin yan. Okay, guys. So, now, let's solve for this given. So, we have two options. Pwede natin i-distribute muna ng 25 sa both sides or pwede na muna tayo siyang i-divide bago natin siya i-erase sa 25. So, I prefer doing that. So, that would be Z sub 2. Z sub 2 natin is 2 square root of 5. Angle niya is negative 26.57 over yung Z sub 1 which is 1 square root of 5. Angle 153.43. So, we are dividing this, guys. This would be equal to 2. Subtracting negative 26.57 minus ito. That's angle negative 180. So, let's now solve this using the Moivre's formula. That's Z raised to 25 is equals to R raised to N. CIS, that would be equal to N times theta. The value of our R is equals to 2. That's the reduced raised to 25. CIS, N natin, guys, is 25 times negative 180. Yun yung value ng ating theta. So, to solve for that, 2 raised to 25 is equals to 3,3,5,5,4,4,3,2. CIS, 25 times negative 180 is equals to 4,500. So, our final answer in polar form is 3,3,5,5,4,4,3,2 angle 4,000 negative 4,500 degrees. So, this is our final answer, guys. Alright? Next is to solve for here. So, review na lang to na mabilisan lang to. Since I raised to 16 I raised to 16 is 16 divided by 4 is wala siyang remainder. Ibig sabihin, the value of our A is 1. Okay, next, B. That's 49 divided by 4. 49 divided by 4, guys. 49 divided by 4 is equals to 12. Is equals to 12. Remainder, ang remainder po dito ay equals to 1. So, ibig sabihin, the answer that is I. Next, C. 502. 502 divided by 4, guys, is remainder 2. Ito, remainder 2 siya. Ibig sabihin, ang value niyan is negative 1. D, 1,601 divided by 4. Ang remainder niyan, guys, is 1. So, 1, ibig sabihin, ang value niyan is I. Okay? So that's it, guys. If you have some questions, comment it down below. Please like and share, subscribe sa ating channel para mas marami pa tayo matutunan, guys. And that's it. Bye-bye, mga parekoy.